Everyone, Point Line Steve here again for the second time today because I wanted to give perspective on how the balanced data slate affects Spectral Spite in specific, and I'll have some cartel stuff at the end. So all this discussion is going to be how these specific armies that got changed, how it interacts with Spectral Spite in particular. So I'm not going to go too in depth into something that doesn't really affect the matchup or didn't change too much, or the specific things that don't really matter, just in the mindset of a Spectral Spite player. Before we begin, I'd like to plug a couple things. First, join the Discord. Discord's popping off. It's doing really good. There's a lot of great discussion in there, especially now with the balanced data slate. You can find out information for coaching if you want there too. Please like, subscribe, and share these videos. I'm very close to being fully monetized, so if you could do that, it would help me out immensely. I really like doing these, and I'm getting very good reviews from people. They really like enjoying it, so if you could do that, that would help me immensely, and I would vastly appreciate it. Now that was just a quick little side point, so off to begin. So we're going to get into the rules changes first. There's not a lot, so it's going to be a lot of skimming. All right, no core rules changes, nothing for sisters, nothing for custodes. Nothing for Admech. And then Eldar, it's the big one. This is very good for us as Witch Land because we were very favored into Eldar in the idea that we are very similar to Eldar, except we're faster. We are good in melee. Obviously, we're faster. We hit hard in melee and hit worse in shooting. So we're faster than them. We hit better than them in melee, and we're about half the price. Like, for instance, like War Spiders were 95, and like that's 5 War Spiders is the price of 10 Witches for the price. Actually more expensive, and now they're even more. So the army rules, and a lot of this affects it in particular, is Star Engines can't be normal Star Engines. This gives you Assault now, which means they can't do the Fire Dragon, go plus 7 inches, disembark, shoot you. Can't do that anymore. Skyborn Sanctuary in both detachments doesn't let you doesn't let you embark if you did not fight. So the same thing, and then Fire and Fate doesn't let you do it either. No more uninteractable Fire Dragons, which it wasn't necessarily that bad for us, but they could just randomly kill a couple Venoms and a Chronos if you didn't have any Witch Cult things nearby to intercept or challenge met. So that's obviously any of this that is getting nerfed is good for us. No more flipping 6s with aspect tokens for characters, which is one of the bigger ones because Fuegan could randomly Overwatch, do some 6s, be annoying with Overwatch, or just randomly shoot. And that's really it. So a lot of that combines with the points we're going to get to later is that this army is vastly weaker to us than a detachment we were already favored in. Because Eldar is pretty beans at doing primary. It's not good at it at all. And this indirectly makes it all worse while we're amazing at primary. And like I said, they're not much slower than us, but in general, they can have a couple units that are very fast, but army-wide, we are faster than them. So we can keep the tempo in our favor. And now they have to, a lot of the only plays they can really do now is just hope to alpha on turn 1 or 2 if they're playing things like Swooping Hawks and very expensive Warp Spiders. And those are things you can screen out very easy by just measuring their max movement, like saying Warp Spiders are going 24 26. I'll be in this ruin and I'll block off the parts of the ruin where they can land, so they can't land in this ruin. They can't shoot me behind it anyways. Or if they do, they're getting challenge meted. So it's just pretty bad for them in every way. This is very good for us as the Witch Land. Nothing for Admech, Black Templars, Blood Angels, Chaos Knights, CSM, Dangles, Death Guard, Drukhari. Here's one that's for us. Weird, one of the few. And the Archon now splits. This, on the surface, is kind of huge. And the Archon was trash. In a Spectral Spite mindset, it was one of the worst units. In general, it was not great. It's essentially Cablites that are just worse. You give up half your shooting to get some okay melee. You lose OC2 to become OC1. And you gain Scout instead of Sticky. So it's literally a side grid Cablite that costs more. Now that you can split it, there's some very cool interesting interactions at least. I don't know if they're cool or good yet, 'cause I haven't really tested it. But on service, I like it. I really like the idea of a Hand of the Archon with an Archon instead of something like Cablites, because the Hand of the Archon does have those melee weapons that I felt the Cablites missed, because once you put him with Cablites, the Cablites have one really bad power sword, and that's it. And he was the only melee aspect, so it's pretty anemic going into melee with that unit. But with the Hand the Archon, they have 3 melee weapons, so they have like 12 melee attacks or whatever combined with his. They have lethal as the pain token. So if you're in cartel, you're also going to have I'm implying you're going into like an infantry or mounted unit. So you'll have lethal with the pain token, you'll have sustain from the attach ability, you'll have reroll hits from the Archon pain token, and then you could potentially have crits on 5s. It's a very nice, punchy melee unit that didn't really exist except with like Incubi, which are very overcosted. It's also the only scout unit in the army, so it's very nice, especially in the Venom. You can scout it up. You can have 2 scout units for the price of 1. Like some people were testing out Corsairs, for instance, and Hand the Archon are just pretty much better than Corsairs. Corsairs have even worse melee than they do. The only thing they literally have is they have Scout and their OC2, and they cost more points. These are cheaper and have Scout, and they have a niche data sheet ability, you know, being OC3 can be something. So this is very, very exciting for Cartel. I'm excited to try this. Emperor's Children, the transport got the rerolls part of the detachment. The detachment's terrible, but there's one niche interaction is that Land Raiders are now are transports. We as an army aren't really scared of Land Raiders, but it's something in general to look out for. You can legit play Land Raiders here, and they become an actual efficient shooting profile. They were once dead and wound at all times. Whatever, it doesn't really affect us in general. These are nothing. Grey Knights nothing. Knights and Agents nothing. Votan nothing. Necrons nothing. Orcs nothing. Space Marines nothing. Wish there should be. Vetrix Guard. So annoying. Tau Empire and T-Zones. This is kind of a big one. So all for the Demons attachment, I think it's called Chain Shows, but they're called Scintillating Legion models. They are now all affected by the doctrines, the psychic tests. So now, in addition to the Lord of Change getting buffed to damage 3 on his main gun, damage 2 on his side gun, and 50% increase range on his Rod of Sorcery from 12 to 18, the damage on this thing is immense, and it's, you know, perfect profiles into us. Mediumly high strength, medium AP, medium damage, sustained D3. It's all great things into us. This thing, Lord of Change, is like shooting profile. He's much shorter range. Magnus 24 baseline can up his range if you play certain detachments. But like as a surface data sheet, his shooting is side grade or better than Magnus for like almost 200 less points. And the Kairos now also has damage 3 and less, which is actually scary. Combined with AP plus AP2, reroll hits, the guy can kill Venoms and Raiders behind walls with no effort. That's something to actually look out for. Because like I said, you can get plus 2 AP, you can double move them, which probably won't happen too often, and more importantly, reroll hits. Because Lord Change has sus D3 on his guns. So it's very scary. So if this attachment, which I think is pretty good, starts to rise in prevalence, it's what might be a struggle. I think it might be one of the harder T-Suns attachments to beat. Rubik Phalanx is by far is one of the hardest attachments to beat in general. It has a lot of things that just hard counter us. I've gone through this before. And then like Cult of Magic, is it called Cult of Magic? Grand Coven is the easiest as like a real detachment. This might be one of the harder ones. We'll have to see. I'll be actually playing against this week multiple times, I think. Tyrannid's nothing. World Leader's nothing. Like I said, not a lot of rules changes. It's the very minor ones. It's the points that are the big ones. Right? This is the bottom. To the top. Like I said, I'm only going to reiterate if this like affects the army really. This is a relatively big one. Like the average list went up between 100 and 150 points, depending on how much of the good units you spammed. So like Retributors went up 15, Sanctifiers went up 10, Celestine Sacraments essentially went up 20 because both them and the Hospitaller went up, more involved went up 15. This is obviously good for us because this was also just a very favored matchup in general, and now that they have 100 to 200 less points of units, it's going to be much easier. You have very good profiles to kill them, obviously. You're just mass strength 3, strength 4, medium to high AP. Very good at killing the bodies. We're one of the armies that can easily kill 10 Sacrosancts in melee with very little effort. And like even in shooting, you can do some annoying damage with things like Hellions. So a lot of their cheesy rules we get around very easily compared to most people. And I've shown on the channel that beating the whole spam is quite easy, and now that the whole spam is less. Obviously, the whole spam got nerfed, not as much, but still, like if you're playing Bringer's Flame with 3 Retributors and Sanctifiers, you're up like 100 points. Not great. This is great for us. Custodes. Custodes is terrible. I'm telling you, used to be one of the biggest Custodes players in the world. Like I won the GW first GW Open of the year whatever against Index Eldar. That was hell. This is mostly nothing. This army's like fucking unplayable. But there is some things if you play against Custodes in your meta that actually small squads of Alaris, especially with a size of points decrease of 5 points, will be relatively good because it is like I always expressed that screening out teleporting guns is the most important aspect of this army because you will just lose. Like, not like you were going to lose the game. You can go get tabled in one turn if you don't screen out teleporting guns efficiently. And this is an efficient teleporting gun into army because it has the best version of teleport, which is up and down in your command phase, so your opponent can't play around it. Like, they don't know that you're rapid ingressing or anything. It's got 2 guns every gut into us. It's between 2 and 5 40 mils, so it's like very small. I'm not saying this is gonna like beat the shit out of us. Custodes is very favored. But it's something that can get you if you're not prepared for it as the Spectrosite player. But yeah, that's it. And then they have a couple more points with their screening units, like whatever. You might see some memers running 30 Custodian Guard. Whatever, you just kill them. It's not hard to kill Custodian Guard. Custodian Guard are made of paper against us because you just throw Hellions at them. You throw Lilith at them. You throw Morgana's Curse at them and they explode for 1 million points. Admech, this is great for us. This is another matchup where I thought was relatively favored because Admech struggles really hard into a challenge met. Yes, your army dies to the mass strength 3 shooting, but most aren't pistols. They only have like really 1 unit with pistols, which is the infiltrators. So don't charge them with 5 witches. Charge them with things like Hellions and Reavers. They're not going to kill those with challenge met, especially green cover. But the Hunter Core list that Richard Siegler played went up more than 200 points. The other attachment, Halo's Creed, goes up more than a couple hundred, such like that. So it's really good for us in general. Because like I said, I think this is a relatively favored matchup as a meta menace, and then they just have less points, and we have a lot of tools to beat them. Because the Hellions beat the crap out of them in general. Like I said, they have very, very little way of playing around challenge met, and they obviously struggle to deal with fight first. They don't have any way of dealing with fight first except by shooting you. Like, they don't really have fight on death. The Ruststalkers will not live through a Lilith combat, even through a 5 field of pain, such like that. So this is very good for us. Nothing that's not real. Eldar more combined with the Eldar nerfs. So like even the style I said that maybe can still work, which I don't believe it is, you take your 15 Warspires and your 15 Swooping Hawks, and that alone went up 60 points, technically 75 minimum if you're just doing that and not taking things like Fire Dragons or Jane Czar, which is not going to happen. So the army is to getting its rules blasted into the stratosphere. They got hefty 100+ points changes. This one's funny though, Storm Guardians, because I was gonna make fun, like make a little joke about Storm Guardians, like haha, finally Storm Guardians are more expensive than Cablites because they got a points decrease. They're still cheaper. This is how bad Cablites are. These are better than Cablites by like a lot. And they're still not even played that much. I have a gripe with Cablites. So I think that day sheet is really bad. It needs to go down like 25 points. We'll get to that when we get to the points. Nothing there. Nothing. Sorry, I skipped over because there was nothing there. Nothing Yunari. Nothing Acer. Speaking of Yunari, though, they should get the updated data sheets. That would be cool. Don't make me play Yunari more. Yeah, quick thing. Nothing guard. I'm not going to talk about the guard detachment. I'm not really a guard player. I know all the guard rules, but I can't. I'm not going. This isn't a video of me talking about the hypothetical attachments, how they do to us. We're just going to talk about the data slate itself, and how it affects our armies specifically. Black Templars. This is, I guess, good for you if you have a Black Templars player, because this army only got nerfed. A minimum nerf of 2 of these, and 1 of these is, what is that? It's 30, 50, 60 points, which is pretty bad for Space Marines. It's like almost a whole scout squad. And a lot of them are running 3-3, so up close to 100 points if you're running the max amount. On a detachment, on an army, I did not think was very good. I'll be honest. I didn't. Sword Bros with Gladiator Reapers, Repulsor Executioners. It's just not very good. It's very one note. It's very, I'm good at killing big tough things, and that's it. Because Sword Bros have 3 attacks. So they're really bad into us, like really bad. Sword bros are awful. Like Black Temple, you just don't lead your sword bros in this matchup. That's how like it is. Because Polish Executioners, why they're not hard to deal with, they have like okay Overwatch because they have reroll hits if you're overwatching with them, as long as you're within 12 within reason. Whatever. If I'm playing like a melee unit, so yeah, overwatching with reroll hits, but it's just sixes. I don't have like sustain or anything. There's raw dog and sixes. It's whatever. It does not kill much Hellions, and Hellions delete them because they only have a 3-up save. Reavers do good damage because they're AP4, strength 14. It's like really not hard to kill these. But yeah, so this is by definition good for us. So, you know, an easy matchup becomes easier. This is nothing. 10 less points of Sanguinor is nothing to talk about here. It doesn't change anything. Blood Angels is relatively favored. I would say quite favored. Sanguinor is just annoying to deal with. They don't, especially if they're playing something they lag, or actually anything that's not Rage Curse Onslaught, because none of Blood Angels do not have Fight on Death. Rage Curse Onslaught makes it kind of harder because they have Fight on Death with specifically Death Company units. And Sanguinor and Angelic Inheritors is harder to deal with because he will just kill a bunch of our models for free. But that's about any fight first. He's obviously kind of the most interactable fight first because he just goes where he wants. So he like you can't play around him as much. You just gotta eat it. But yeah. Demons. This is just goes in line with the buff to the Lord of Changes. Like I said, is spooky for us, especially in both Demons and T-Suns. You can up and down the demon models. So Kairos and Lord of Chains. You know, especially Kairos, you can come close behind a wall and still shoot you to death. Rodriguez got nerfed, which is nice because Rodriguez is one of the more annoying models for army to deal with. He has the aura of the -1 OC and the less movement. So like Hellions become OC 0 and Witches become OC 1. So like 5 Witches still ties him, but like it's really hard to steal objectives if you have 2 Rodriguez plus a Great and Clean one. But speaking of the Great and Clean one, it wasn't a thing. That thing got nerfed. This Endless Gift got buffed points wise, but now it only gets a 5 final pay instead of 4. So the infinite durability Great and Clean one is substantially easier to kill now. So we can actually kill them with Hellions and such without too much effort and lethal hit succubuses. So this is I would say overall this is better for us against demons. I can't tell you exactly because it's all just hypotheticals for the Lord Changes and stuff, but I think the nerf to Rodriguez and the Great Unclean ones makes it easier for in general for something like Demonic Incursion. Obviously, if people start playing the Demons version of Scintillating Legion, that might be actually challenging. Just quad burb with their strats. Don't know. I'm only used to playing against Scintillating Legion as like playing with Armor Contempt Vindicators, which they physically couldn't kill. So I don't know at the moment because that detachment doesn't exist. Keeper Secrets and Slashy Hellbane also went down. This doesn't mean anything. It's whatever. And one thing that makes another reason these are kind of annoying to deal with because they're all T10 minimum, T10 or higher. So the Hellions don't just wound them on 4s unless you have strength up. Unlike, you know, like T9 things where Hellions minimally wound on 4s because they're strength 5. So that makes them even harder to kill. Even though killing Lord Change is not hard for us relatively, but you don't just automatically Hellion get in there and blast them to death. Especially with how many wounds they have. Chaos Knights. This is a mostly frivolous change. Despoilers went up 15, and then Rodriguez also went up 15 if you're running him, and then some bad knights went down. So Chaos Knights are going to be between 45 and 60 points more expensive. So they're going to drop maybe a Beast of Nurgle. Overall, this is pure good for us if they actually do drop Beast of Nurgle, not something like if they're not playing Rodriguez, they just have to drop Nurglings, which is less important. But if they still want to play Rodriguez, it means to counter Beast Nurgle. Beast Nurgle are fucking annoying as shit for our army. The only thing that can kill that thing is Hellions. I hate those guys. And Reavers, Meltas can. And if it's the only thing in their army that you can run over with Reavers, you could potentially kill one with Reavers if you just get lucky enough. But it's really not the easiest thing in the world. They suck. So having less stuff, it's an army I've always expressed as like both versions of Knights, but Imperial Knights more so, even more so. They're both, I would say, relatively easy. Is they have all the things that we can capitalize on. They're a shooting army that can't Overwatch. They're technically high OC, but not really. They're static. They're OC 6 and 10. And 5 Witches beats both those. So they can't Overwatch, and 5 Witches steals a whole objective from a Knight. It's really bad for them. And Hellions kill big Knights with literally no effort. And same thing with Morgana's Curse. Morgana's Curse to a non-invul save Knight with +1 attack. If you have +1 attack and they don't have an invul saves, doesn't apply to Chaos Knights as much because they can just give themselves an invul save in melee. But especially against like Imperial Knights, is the unit does on average 16 damage to a Knight, which is really good for a 90-point idiot. So killing them is not hard. And like Lilith can punch up being strength 6 up to strength 6 on her small people. And then AP4 with lethal hits, you just stab them, just do a bunch of damage for free. So that's very nice. So nerfs Chaos Knights, good for us, especially since it's a poppy army. Anything that's a poppy army like Sisters and Admech Chaos Knights that also gets nerfed, good for us. Chaos Space Marines, there's not really much changes. Abby's Spy went up 15 points for some reason because even though his army's kind of bad. And a Terrible Day, she went down 10. This is like, it doesn't really matter too much, but like there's some niche, but this is like not for the special side idea. This is me as a Chaos Space Marine player, but there's some like okay thing because I've liked playing Vashtor and Renegade Raiders, for instance, and he's really good, but he has just the tax if you are forced to take a Demon Engine unit to, make use of him. And there's essentially only 2. There's only 2 with guns if you don't count the Defiler, which is unplayable now because of the base size. Is so Forge Fiend and the little crabby dudes. So Forge Fiend's going down makes that type of build better, which I don't think that build is good into us as back to the witch mindset, but it's just slightly nice if you're trying to do that, I guess. Nothing, that's things. Dark Angels, a bunch of mostly nothing burger changes. Like I can go and talk about Black Knights, but it's such a niche army. Everyone plays Wrath of the Rock, but like, yes, if you were in a specific meta where people play either Company Hunters or more likely Stormlance, 60 less points than Black Knights, or most people run 2 squads of 40 less points. 40 less points doesn't really mean anything. That means they can upgrade some, like a scout to an infiltrator, but it doesn't like make the army that much stronger. If you have 60 more points, you can actually buy a whole unit. These aren't like great data sheets to us. Sure, they're mounted, but when they're only T5, so we have countless ways of being strength 5 or higher. They have low saves, only having 3-up save. And a lot of their damage is all anti like elite. So it's, plasma guns and like anti-vehicle stabby sticks. It's all like inefficient to our army. So these are not the best things. And it's an army that wants to like jail and charge you, which lets them open up to challenge Met. They have decent OC. They're like Custodes, where it's like I'm 6 miles with OC 3. But that's slightly more than 5 witches. So, like, it's not that impressive. It's as much as 8 witches, for instance. And, if that's their banner's still alive, who usually dies first. So they can res him. So, overall, this unit is not great to us. It being buffed doesn't mean too much. Although Azrael's 10 points is mostly meaningless. It's like, whatever. This is, like, barely anything. Like, if you see this in your meta, they will have 1 extra unit. I don't know what that's going to do for them. Death Guard, there is no changes here. This is not real. I'm sorry. I don't know why the Death Guard Chaos Rhino was still 240 points. It's weird. All the other Rhinos got updated a long time ago to be 220 points. This thing's terrible, though, by the way, as a Death Guard player. Because you have nothing to put in it. And the Rodriguez goes up to match the Demons model. This is actually good for us, because this is, in my opinion, besides for Emperor's Children, but I think Deathwatch might be harder, is the hardest Marine army to beat, especially if they're running 30 Indominators. Because some people are now running Bolter and Dominators. You combine, you usually take like 2 Melta and 1 full Bolter to get like, it's a really long range shooting. It's up to like 42 inches, and they teleport around. But it's like everything you don't want as a teleporting gun. It teleports multiple units, gives them deep strike, and they have very long range shooting. It's not like Inceptors, which are very short range shooting, and then they can't use their 6-inch deep strike against you. So it's like 42-inch range. They teleport 2 of them. They do it for free. And and then so what's also very annoying is that they're T6 3 wound spam, which is very annoying to deal with, So them going down 30 to 40 points helps us, especially because it's an army that can't really efficiently reduce points by a lot. So this is good for us. Deathwatch is not very popular, but this is one of the more annoying armies, and seeing, 30 to 40 points less is quite good. Drukhari, this one, some people are like bitching about this and like whatever. It does not matter. It does matter because factually you can't play my 60 witch list anymore 1-to-1. But I've said, and I'll show you when we get to the list part at the end, that it has to change because of the meta now. So yes, the 6-man Reaver Squad went up to match the 3-man. I think it's fine because it was the only variable price unit in the army, I'm pretty sure. So it was like kind of weird. It was the only one that was like that. Maybe racks kind of are. I don't know. Racks are bad. This does, give credence to 3-mans of Spectral Fight now because 6-mans were strictly better. You were just wrong not taking at least one 6-man Spectral Fight. For the reasons are pain token economy is very important because Spectral Flight uses pain tokens in the movement phases, not damage phases, so you can't bounce them around. 2, it was cheaper. It takes 6-mans over 2 3-mans. And 3, it took up way more space for challenge met synergy. Dealing with a big 6-man challenge metting you is a lot harder than 3-mans trying to challenge met you. 6-mans were wrecked. Now, I would say you probably still take 12 if you're taking them. And then maybe you can go to 15. But also maybe 1 6-man and 2 3-mans now that you're not paying a premium for it. Those are all options. I don't really care. This got nerfed. It's whatever. And the Ravager went down 5, which is fine. It's Dynamics, Cavalite, Cartel, kind of cooler. 5 isn't a lot, but this thing's relatively cheap at 110 now. But points, though, I'll talk about the points in general. They need to reduce the Cavalite stuff. It's insane. And the Coven stuff, too. Incubi are 180. That's ridiculous. Come the fuck on. An Assault Intercessor is 15 points, for instance. I think these should cost maybe the same or slightly more than Assault Intercessor. But Hellions, they should not be more than Hellions. I don't think Hellions are undercosted, I'll be honest. Hellions might look OP to some people because it's the only thing in the army that does literally any damage. The only thing that does damage. Like, obviously, witch stuff can do damage to infantry models. That's the only thing you can rely to kill anything. Everyone in the game has things that can kill things. Drukhari does not. This is the only thing that does anything. Incubi, for 1 more point, have 1 less attack. Not sustained. Not lance. Half the movement. They don't have a gun. They don't have a good gun, so the Hellions gun is good, so they have 2 points for that. -1 toughness, I didn't say that. So all that, and all you get is +1 AP. Not even counting the day sheet ability, even though the Hellions is way better. The reactive move is way better than the terrible Battle Shock. And not implying the Hellions also have Deep Strike and the Fly keyword, and they're cheaper. These things need to be like 16 points, 15 points. They were 15 points in Yunari, and that was a great profile. Obviously, Yunari ones were kind of worse, but not really, because they had battle focus, you had Yunari strats, and then you had a really good leader. You had 2 really good leaders. You had Fight First and Reroll Wound Beatty, Cali, and Res D3 +1 of them every turn. So they were kind of better, but they felt great at 15 points. I think they should really be between 15 and 16. 18 is too much for what they are. They have 3 attacks, a weapon skill 3. It's a power sword. It's 5/2/2. It's not like a good weapon. I think Cavalite Warriors are this is an insane price. I'm gonna say this price is insane. This unit's garbage. It does nothing. It stickies. It's like the worst sticky in the game because it's the only one that doesn't do anything. Like I was making fun of Storm Guardians before, and those things were 100 points, and they were niche playable. Intercessors, obviously, you get 5 or 80 points. They have good synergy because they can just shoot you pretty hard. They have assaults and other guns. They have a grenade launcher. They have combined arms by having the power fist plus the random guys. You shouldn't compare armies 1-to-1, but this unit's just bad. Like witches are 15 less points, for instance, and they're just better in almost every way. So this needs to go down. These should go down to minimum like 100, but I would say 90 to be like even in the thing because their shooting is not even good anyways. It's 5 bolters and 4 bad power weapons that hit on 4s. It's like it does not matter. They're not even like impressive guns. Like the Dark Lance, I guess, is the best one, but like a blaster's shitty, splinter cannon's shitty, and a shredder's terrible. So like they're not even impressive. These probably need to go down to real 16, but I would want 15. This does need to go down. We'll see how good it is, but it on the surface should be cheaper than Cavalites. This is fucking like probably one of the worst models in the army. He has no role. He doesn't make any sense. Because his ability is once per turn at the beginning of the phase on a 4 you get a pain token. A Kronos is every time you spend pain token, you get 1 back. And he's cheaper. And is a T7 monster with 7 wounds and a feel no pain. And like decent melee. and fly, and it moves faster. Actually, they probably both move 7. I don't know. It's terrible. But like, this guy just doesn't make any sense. In addition to Rax also costing 13 points. Why do these things cost 13 points? They're bad. They don't do anything. They are slow. They have 2 fake wounds, which is like super cute. But then they have a 5-up save, so they don't live versus anything. Their melee is bad witches that can kill themselves, so you can give hazardous to give them 4 attacks to be like as good of a witch, worse than the power sword witches. And these things are 45 less points or 40 less points. Like, I don't think witches are undercosted. I'll say that. I think these are perfectly fine. There's a lot of things that are overcosted. The planes, I don't care about the planes. The things like Venoms, Raiders, most of the characters I think are fine. I think maybe an Archon could probably be like 70, 75. Drazzer, 80, 85. He's pretty fine. Mouse, I think, is too expensive. I'll say that. I think she's personally just does not have a lot of... She doesn't do a lot. She's one of the, in my opinion, one of the less impactful Vects of the game, because all she is a Vect and a redeploy, and the redeploy is only useful if you're using Mandrakes a lot. You rarely need to redeploy things in your DZ. So like compared to like a Calidus Assassin, which people do not play very often, it isn't just wearing one army. Every pure army can play this, including ones that don't have Vex. So for the same amount of points, Calidus Assassin has fight first. So like a side grady melee weapon. In a lot of instances, I'd rather just have the fight first damage 2 lady than the damage 3 lady. Fight first, a decent gun, up and down, lone up, runs away at the end of the combat phase, and people don't play her. Mal, especially in like, this is the idea from Spectacle Spite, she has no synergy with detachment. That's why I have not wanted to play her. And then she has a redeploy. She doesn't even have a leader ability. She can give her unit sustain or lethal, but baseline doesn't have a leader ability. So like, it's very annoying. She's 100 points. Do not like that. And her melee weapon is just annoying. 1, it has hazardous, and 2, it's only strength 5. Strength 5 sucks. Strength 5 is a terrible strength value. That's also what makes the Archon so annoying, because he's strength 4. Come on, strength 4? Oh god. But yeah, so, but other things, I think Chronoses are fairly priced. Things are perfect for them. Like I said, Drazzer is pretty good. Munculus is like 40 points overcosted. That's too cheap, but this guy should be like the same price or cheaper than the Succubus. Succubus is way better. This is way better. And Archon too expensive. The Scourges, these things are just those are bad. There's an issue with the Shard Carbine Scourges, is that we don't have units in the army that synergize with them. So to make things like +1 AP good, you want mid AP weapons. You want things that are like AP 1 and 2 and like a lot of shot AP 3. That's what makes +1 AP abilities really pop off. This army doesn't have it. It's a bunch of AP 0 bolters and like dark lances. We don't have any like mid-range shooting. The only thing you have is splinter cannons on Venoms, or whatever, or disintegrator cannons, which, yes, getting to AP4 is okay, but and like it's nice, but that's it. That's the only profile really that like synergizes with this. And otherwise, 80 points for 5 T3 models with a 4-up, 5-up is terrible. They're made of paper, so they get to use. The issue is they don't have like anything. On Fire and Fade, they have no protection, so they go out, do their ability once, and then die, and they're not worth 80 points for that. Like, they cost more than Mandrakes, which just do whatever they do, but better. They also have Deep Strike, but they can go up and down. They have way better shooting. They have melee. They have the suit alone up. They have stealth. And like I like Mandrakes, but I'm like Mandrakes are insane. These things need to be like 10 to 15, 20 less points. They're just way too overcosted. But things that are fine, I think Mandrakes are fine. Like I said, I think all the witch stuff are fine. Like I said, I don't think Hellions are undercosted. They're just the only things damage that army does damage, so you have to run them, especially if you're playing Spectacle Spite. Because if you play Spectacle Spite without Hellions, you will just have a damage problem and you won't kill anything. And the Taluses. Taluses are, I think, very close to being actually good. I think they're like 10 points, maybe 15 points too much. Because they are for the same stat line, they are 25 points more than a Chronos for just a better gun and a better melee weapon, but the same thing. And the Chronos actually has a niche thing. It's not even niche, it's a very good ability of his aura. Because like Taluses are very, I would say they're very similar to Chronos's, the Scourges, but they do things different. Scourges are an uninteractable shooting platform That's expensive per model and per wound, but you get value. You can have value for the whole game. Taluses have decent shooting and decent melee and like decent OC and decent durability. So they're like the really cool hybrid unit, and they have a very niche ability of their fight on death 2-up. So if we're in a meta of like elite infantry meta or like a tactical marine type body spam, then they're very good because no one wants to charge 5 Salt Intercessors and Taluses because they're going to find death and kill you anyways for free. But they're a little too expensive for that. And I think that if they go down slightly, they're just legit good. So I too long didn't read. What actually needs to change is the Kabalite data sheets and the Archon Kabalites and Incubi are too expensive. And they do need to go down. And then things like Taluses and Shard Carbines need a little bit of a decrease. And Racks, but Racks are kind of hopeless. These things are so bad. That is the overarching thing of Drukhari. The next thing, Emperor's Children. This is a lot of green. This is a buff for us. Everything that's green is bad. Chaos Spawn are okay. But they have the worst Terminators in the game. That's why they're 31 points now, which is crazy. Because they're just Terminators. They only go to 5-mans. They have the terrible CSM Terminator weapon restriction of like 3 Power Fists, a Power Sword, and a Lightning Claw. It's like really stupid. And their day shoot ability is terrible. It's if you shoot every model at one target, you get real charges against that target. Like, for instance, the Deathwatch Terminator, its day sheet ability is you have reroll charges and Battle Shock when you charge people. And if it's Xenos, they take -1. No restriction. You just get all 2.5 of those abilities. And you don't have weapon restrictions. Yeah, these guys suck. This guy, the Demon Prince on foot, is bad because, one, these guys have the old, unupdated Demon Prince melee weapon of no AP on their sweep and like just like AP2 melee with no keywords. And then his day sheet ability is like, it's just like gives you +1 AP and aura. It's fine. But so the only thing that matters is this guy going up. And that's really good for us. So between 30 and 45 points. I don't know if people are going to keep running 3 now because the army is inflexible and has no way of cutting points. So this is really good for us because this is one of the harder matchups, like in general. So if they have to cut one of the Demon Princes, we are in such an amazing spot because it's easy to deal with 1 Demon Prince. We can deal with 2 Demon Princes. It's the 3rd that gets really hard to deal with because the rest of the army dies with impunity against us. And this is because he does the perfect stacking things that make this army hard to deal with. Like, you can deal with a -1 damage 2-up save model with Hellions. They can kill them without too much effort. But a -1 damage 2-up save model with AOC, the Hellions aren't killing those. And then combined with insane, heroics, so because they get the mortals when they heroic, and combined with the whole army being untaggable and such, it's very nightmare to deal with these units. 3 of them, like I said, 1 is easy to deal with, 2 is not hard to deal with, and 3 is really impossible to deal with all of them. So this is great for us. Less Demon Prince on wings, good for witches. Future Simmers, nothing. Grey Knights, nothing that matters. None of this really affects us. The average list was running between 10 and 20 of these guys, so the list went down 20 points. That does not do anything. Grey Knights is a very favorable matchup for us because it's just a very, very low amount of infantry that also doesn't have invul saves. So like you run in with your AP4 and they go, and then they get really sad and die. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, it's also one of the least scary up and down shooting armies because it's all mega short range. So they also can't use their 6-inch steep strike versus your army. They can use it against like Venoms and stuff, but they can't use it to try and steal points from infantry models because you can just charge them, and then they're really sad. This is green and is might make Grey Knights technically harder if they, I don't know. At most you're buying one of the 3rd enhancements you weren't buying. I don't really see anything. Nothing for agents because it's not a real army, sadly. Imperial Knights, it's a lot of green, but it doesn't really matter. Because you're only running 1 or 2 of these in every list. You're never running, like the most you can run in one list realistically is a Gallant, Defender, and Crusader if you're playing Companions, and that's not going to be a good list, and then you're 30 points less. So at most you're getting an enhancement. Imperial Knights is what I said about Chaos Knights, but even easier because especially because Companions is very popular, so they're just spamming bigs. Almost none of their bigs have melee invul saves. There's only 2, and people don't run Atroposes anymore. They're very uncommon. And sometimes they run Lancers. It's the only one that has an invul save in melee. And that doesn't work. That doesn't matter against Hellions because it's just AP1. So they just go and chop them up. They also can't Overwatch, like I said. This is good. It doesn't change Spearhead arms at all, except the Warden is played there. yeah, 10 points doesn't mean anything. That's all you run. Either a warden or one defender or one warden. If they're running, sometimes people run both, and that's very easy to deal with because then you only have like 6 smalls. It's much more annoying when they have like 10 smalls to deal with. But like I said, there's not much here to talk about. Nothing really here affects us. Leagues of Votan, a lot of greens, which this is one thing that's not only fake. There's one thing here that matters, which is the Steeljacks with guns. Like Bury is bad, he doesn't mean anything. The Evaluator doesn't mean anything. The Call doesn't mean anything. The Side Chart, none of these mean anything to us. It's just Steeljacks with guns, specifically because they are a profile that's annoying to deal with, or as an infantry can be, of T6, -1 wounding against higher strength, which, to be fair, we don't have anything with higher strength. But then a 2-up save. So like what I said about the odometers, but even more so. But they also, it's because we're one of the only armies in the game where their Overwatch is super threatening, because it's 6 shots, potentially with sustain if you're playing Brandfast, at 6-1-1 dev, and then Overwatch is on 4 versus an objective. So people start running these. That's something you got to be really cognizant about, and that will be something we got to figure out. Like obviously killing them won't be hard. It's just their Overwatch, like if you get in a combo without being Overwatch, but dealing with the Overwatch is the threatening part. Nothing for Necrons. Nothing at all. Nothing to talk about. No works. Space Marines. This shit made me mad. This shit made me so mad I had to rework my list. One, there shouldn't be no green here. This is fucking stupid. I don't care that these units are unplayed, because they already... GW has mostly learned from doing buff and nerf patches. You're not supposed to do that because you might fuck things up. The biggest, most famous example is Drukhari 9th edition, where Cabal and Witch Cult Drukhari had taken over the game for like half a year after the Codex came out, and then they decided, okay, we're gonna finally nerf that stuff, but no one's playing Covens as much, so we're gonna buff a bunch of the Coven stuff at the same time. And it just turned Covens into the best army in the game, and debatably better than what the Witch Cult stuff was right before there, so it did nothing. So you're not supposed, if you're trying to nerf an army, do buffs and nerfs at the same time. Same thing, they did it successfully with Eldar and Sisters and Admech. They did not buff the stuff at the same time, because you can't do that, because you might just fuck up and make something else overpowered. You could buff the shit next patch. Like Sisters has units that aren't great. Admech has units that are just okay and fine. Eldar has actively terrible units that they could have fixed. Things like all the Wraith stuff, all the vehicles. Nerf buffs to troops with the detachments came out. These fucking, you see the price of these things? They're fucking 100. What is that? 117 points a model. You know they're almost strictly worse than a witch. They have less movement. They're worse at melee. They don't have the cool fallback ability. The only thing they have, literally the only thing they have a worse transport, because the Starweaver doesn't have stealth, and he costs more, and he has, I would rather have a Venom cannon than a Shuriken cannon in most instances. And they just have better shooting. And it's like, it's fine shooting. That's it. And they cost literally double the price. They should have, they should have made these cheaper. But they didn't, which is mostly correct. You should not, if this army is taking over the game, it should not get compensation buffs, because you might fuck it up, is what I'm trying to say. The Space Marines, this time, got many compensation buffs. And the one nerf they got was not fucking anything. Where's Space Marines again? So yeah, what's actually funny, so they pretty much took Shadowmark Talon out back, and same with Black Templars. Black Templars and Shadowmark Talons ate harder nerfs than Vetrix Guard, which is insane. The Shadowmark Talon, one went up, 25, 45, a minimum of 65 points, potentially 75 if you took the second 3-man. So not a small amount, but not like a high amount, but they also can't turn one rapid anymore. So one of the strongest effects, which is a buff for us, Shadowmark's one of the easier teleport gun armies, because one, they can't use 6-inch Deep Strike Inceptors. They got to just Deep Strike them normally. And two, they can't turn one Deep Strike Centurions like Deathwatch can, because it gives them Deep Strike. Shadowmark does not give them Deep Strike, so they can't come in turn one. So they're just board edging. But the only thing that was kind of annoying to deal with was the turn on rapid, which they can't do anymore. And these also got a points increase to go with it. So funny. What? The stupid Vetrix Guard got a shit ton of compensation buffs. Like, you buffed all these units. Like, Eradicators aren't even bad. They're side grady Fire Dragons damage wise. Fire Dragons obviously bad, the uninteractive part, but they also get their rerolls in Overwatch, which Fire Dragons never did. And they're coming on close to this points per model, which is very funny because these are 30 points and Fire Dragons are 24 now, which is so funny because these guys are fucking T6 with 3 wounds. But, you know, they buffed aggressors, they buffed Corsair, Khan, Lieutenant, Kato. This one too, like, obviously Kato is a lot worse than Captain, but someone won a tournament or like placed at a tournament running this guy. Why did he get buffed at this patch? And then the most offensive thing here, Vectrix only going up 30, and then buffing the 3-mans. This does not do anything. This actually indirectly was a buff because some of the best armies in the game got giga nerfs. Some of the armies that can deal with this unit, which are Admech, they can kill them with things like Ruststalkers and stuff, or just shooting them in the face with a bunch of last cannons, or just move blocking them to death. Eldar with Fire Dragons can't do that anymore. And then just a bunch of other rules. And the Sisters, they've struggled to do it, but they can one of the armies that can deal with it. So all these top tier armies got giga nerfed in comparison. A normal Vectrix list, I'll have you know, went up either 60 or 90 points. They did not run any of these other units that got changed. So that is less than Black Templars, which sucks. That army sucks, by the way. So this is now the best army in the game, and it's not even, I don't even think it's fucking close. This is so stupid. It's like 90 isn't even a lot. And most people were only running the 12-man because they're crazy. So they only went up 60. So this change forces me to play Mouse because this is one of the few armies where a Vect is actively very good against. Most armies, I think, a Vect is overhyped. Like a lot of people like to expound that Vect wins melee matchups. It doesn't. It's helpful, but like let's look at popular melee armies. World Eaters, their fight on death is free. It doesn't work on them. And so what it affects is -1 damage, which we have 1 unit in the army that doesn't damage 1. So that is okay. And then obviously the normal interrupt. There's not a lot there you're vecting. And then the army spread apart anyway, so it's only going to affect the 1 unit. See, Orcs, they have 1 strat you care about, which is fight on death, which is nice. It helps there, but that army is so easy to deal with, you don't have to worry about it. This army actively helps, especially if it's Gladys, because what they want to do is switch doctrines. They want to fight on death. They want to interrupt. They want to AOC. If they're Ultramar, they can't, fight on death, which is really good. But all those things are really fucking annoying to deal with. So yeah, I have to play Mouse because this is also will be the most popular army in the game. It just already was and will be the best army in the game. Because they didn't nerf things like Redemptors. Like the things like Redemptors and Vindicators is what makes this army really fucking stupid, and annoying and impossible to deal with. Because Redemptors they have been not good for a while because their durability has not been useful. It's not a thing that mattered, or you were playing against things like Eldar. But when you combine the -1 damage AOC Dreadnoughts with the Vectrix, the skew durability is too much. It's just too much. Almost no armies can handle both those at the same time. And that's why they're winning. That's why they're winning and beating the shit out of everyone. And now it's the best army in the game, and I'm very fucking annoyed. So I have to play Malice, which is fine. Like I'm also one of the armies that can deal with this, one of the better armies, because killing 6-man Vectrix with things like Lilith, the Morgana's Curse, baiting out ASC, and then with Hellions is something we can do quite easily. It's just this is not good and healthy and not fun. It's very silly and stupid. Especially as a Custodians player. Because they are so much better Custodians, so funny. But yeah, that's my little rant. Also, why did this go down? Why? It was played. This is a played data sheet. This is a data sheet that people play. Especially Deathwatch. Deathwatch plays this thing all the time. It's the one that gives you +1 to wound. It's so stupid. See, this is what I'm talking about, the compensation buffs. It's so dumb. It makes you so annoying. Today's rolls. Most of these don't matter because the Grey Hunters are terrible. Iron Priest is unplayable. Murdfang is cute, but you're not going to play him. Battle Dreadnought, I think he's actually pretty good. People don't like him. He's a really good aura, +1 advanced charge. Whatever. Bjorn. So the army went down 10 points. Okay. It means nothing to either of us, so there's nothing to talk about here. Tau. This one's interesting. Tau is one of the harder armies for us to deal with, as Moncon specifically. The rest attachments are not hard to deal with. It's just the Moncon can, especially if you play like Search and Destroy, if they go first, they're going to shoot the fucking unit. There's nothing you can do about it. You just die. And it sucks. But they got a bunch of nerfs. They actually got a third nerf that's not talked about. So most lists were 3 Riptides and 2 to 3 Skyrays, so it's about 50 points, 50 or 60 points. And you were running, people were running 3 Stealth Suits. They're probably not running 3 anymore. They're probably still running 2, which went up 60 points. The army went up 100 plus points, which is really bad for army. It's not very good. So that makes us much better to them, especially the Moncog version. They have a lot of stuff because another reason things like non-cogs, they brought a bunch of dumbasses. There's just so much dumbasses in the army. So you had all the piranhas, all the Kroot, all these fast, cheaper vehicles. The stealth suits aren't too expensive. Not stealth suits. The crisis squads, like the 3-mans, are not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, this is very good for us. One thing is the breachers, if people start bringing them, which I don't know why people aren't, or at least one, this unit's super good, is it's both very good and very bad. And look at my kitty. Her name is Zelda. All right, I've got Zelda. You can hang out with us in the rest of the review. Is that breacher teams are both very good and very bad into us. They're very good because it's, you know, cheap 9-point mass strength 6 shooting, hits on 3s for tower units, so probably hits on 2s. It's very good with the stealth suit, and to us, you know, 2s rolling 1s, 2s rolling 1s to wound. The issue is it's 10 inch range, so it's almost impossible to get most or almost any of the unit in combat with us because we can challenge met them 10 inch range versus 9 inch challenge met. It's very hard. So they got to play things perfectly. If they don't, the unit's useless. But by and large, if they bring this unit back, it might be annoying to deal with. But overall, Tau got nerfed in comparison to us, so it's good for us. T-Suns. Kind of already talked about T-Suns a little bit with Scintillating Agent, but we can talk about generic T-Suns. Like I said, first off, Ribcage Phalanx is still one of the best armies, or the best army in Spectacle Spite, and that just got better because they were running things like, am I zoomed out? Whatever, I'll zoom back in. They were running things like Zangar Bows, Zangar Enlightened, sometimes a Mutilith that kind of fell off. So the army is now cheaper a little bit. It's not a lot. It's more noticeable on like the spear guys. So that's good for them. So to deal with Rubik Phalanx, you gotta hope they're gonna run Rubiks because Rubiks are easy to deal with. It's the Terminators that are impossible to deal with because they're T5. They have -1 to wound against everything. They have AOC against damage 1, which is almost our whole army. And then they have the very annoying strat of if you kill a Psyker model, you pick someone within 6 and that unit gets to shoot you. So what they can do is allocate damage to their sergeant and then take invul saves on him, which is a 4-up. So he can just take 4-up invul saves and then until he dies, and then they get to shoot you to death. So instance, like a lot of times against these durable armies, you like to pick off some damage with your shooting. Like say Hellions, you're like Hellion shooting in a 2-up save, he's not going to do any damage. Now they shoot into him, wound on 3s, you're rolling, and then he takes 4 saves, so he dies and kills your whole unit. So you can't even like efficiently do some free damage in the shooting. Like a Witch Squad is hits on 3s, wounds on 6s at AP 0. It does literally 0 damage. Like Lilith will kill most of them. Hellions are the only thing in your army that can kill them because luckily they don't have ASC against damage 2 and they have no damage modifiers. They're still -1 to wounds. So you're winning on 4s to start with. You know, potentially other buffs. You might hit on, you know, wound on 3s if you get strength, which is nice. But it's very, very hard to deal with because it's also the benefits of Terminators of it takes away Terminators and gets sort of all the downsides. They move fast because they have fallback, shoot and charge. They have assault. They have double move, so they can move, you know, 10 plus 6 inches in a turn, which normal Terminators cannot. They obviously Overwatch very well. Terminators shoot terribly. These guys shoot with lethal hits, reroll hits, AP4 guns. Their melee is okay. I would not say it's like actively bad, which is an upside for them. But it's like, does everything Terminators do? Take away all the bad parts. You're good. And then they're very durable. Tyranids, nothing that matters. Like people might start playing Carnifexes, but they're just T9 dudes with a 2-up save and they hit on 4s. They don't like actually do anything. Like T9 is great for us. We can kill T9 with relatively ease without like much interaction. But there's nothing here. Nothing changed. World Eaters. Hey, look at Red. Red doesn't matter. This army got nerfed. Into us, which is great. Because say like the mass Berserker list went up a minimum 30 points, maybe 45 if they're running 3 of them, especially if they're running like 60 or 80. And then the enhancements I might be taking went up 10 to 20 points. So this army went up between that. The Mass Berserker list went up between 30 and 60 points. And maybe if you have a Slaughterbound. And then the MSU list went up. They usually rank 2 Slaughterbound, so 30 points plus both enhancements, 50 points. And an army that has very terrible points allocation. They're very struggling to pick pick their points stuff. So that's really good for us. Like I said, Goremongers, like, people might take them now. And this unit doesn't like mean anything. It's actually a lot. It's like 1.2 points per model. And Angron, you might be taking at 300 points. We're not there yet. But yeah, it's good for us. Is in general, World Eaters is one of the most favored matches for us in the whole army. It's just a bunch of dudes with terrible saves that are infantry models that get wrecked by Challenge Met, get wrecked by Hellions, get wrecked by AP4. It's just one of the easiest matchups we can have, and now it's easier. And that's it. That's all the points. That's all the perspective of what these things affect into Spectacle Spite. So now I'm going to go over the new list I'm going to be working on, and then some cartel stuff at the end. Alrighty. Here's my first list. This is my first updated list. So as I said, we now have to play this dumbass, Lady Mouse. She's not bad. Like, I put her on my 2 list, I put her A tier. I just don't want to be playing her because I don't really like her. She doesn't do anything. I don't like models that are actively bad in certain matchups, by the way, is why. Because she's slow, she takes up a transport spot, her melee is not good, and so like against like long range shooting, she is terrible. She does nothing. The Vect is not doing anything. It sucks. That's what I don't like. But I have to run her. Now, so the list is 25 aliens still. We got 50 witches now instead of 60. We have cut the raider. So what we did to get to Malice and then some extra points is we added more Reavers. Is we cut the second raider. We cut 10 witches with it. And we cut the 5 first enhancement. It's still here, but it doesn't actually, just ignore that. And the lady's still here, but the enhancement's not. So that gets us, because also we had to eat 20 points of Reavers. Is we got Malice. And we got some more Reavers. Which, like, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's fine. But yeah, that's really it. That's the core is pretty much the exact same. It's just now we still have what I feel is very important is the 10 idiot witches on the side. I would never go below 4 venoms now. I really value these ladies doing stuff. I love them. They're my favorite. We still have Mr. Kronos. People are wanting to start cutting Mr. Kronos. I'm not there yet, especially since he's so cheap. Like, you're not really getting anything when you got him. But we have to think about it. And we'll think about it in 2 seconds when we get to the next list. But this is the list. I have a GTA this weekend, so I'm going to be taking one of these lists. And I think it's leaning to this. This one I feel is better in singles because it does the normal game plan of denial very easily. It still has really good damage. It has like indirectly some better damage by having more Reavers, and she's good into niche profiles. And now you play into melee armies a lot easier. Like, I didn't feel like I needed the Vect in most instances, but this helps a lot of people who aren't like proficiently amazing into melee matchups. Like, having this Vect just makes it way easier in general. So that's very helpful to most people. Yeah, that's the new list. Like I said, we'll just reiterate. It's 50 witches, 3 succubuses, only Morgiana's Curse, which is right here. A raider and 4 venoms. Lilith, obviously. Lady Malice. A Kronos, and 15 Reavers. That is the first list. Second list is a much more brawly list. This is much more favored for something like teams or a terrain format where you know exactly what terrain you are. I've always said I don't play 10 Hellions on the board because I play in GW land, where sometimes you don't know what your terrain is. That's this weekend. I don't actually know what the boards are. And you can just have a bad board where 10 Hellions can't deploy very well. They can't interact turn 1. Instead of the 5-man, which I love, that it's very good for doing things turn 1. But on specific terrain formats or in teams where they're doing it, you can deploy 10 and they're safe. It's very good. So this is the other list. This is a more brawly list. As you can see, I had to cut a bunch more things, but still 50 witches, the four venoms plus a raider, still just Lilith, no more 5 first. Well, the tangent is I don't have the 5 first anymore because I don't really value it too much on a 5-man. It's not very impactful. I played it at Worlds. It didn't do too much. It was okay. And I played a bunch of games with and without it. It's really mostly impactful on a 10-man, and 10-man is probably unfeasible now with the points changes and needing to play Malice. Yeah, so 50 witches, the 5 transports, the normal characters. We have Malice, the 3 succubuses plus Lilith. We have 30 Hellions now, 9 Reavers. We cut some Reavers to add like the Hellions, and more importantly, the Incubi. The Incubi are very good into Vetrix cards. With Dev Wounds, you have a pain token, you have Malice to give them sustain or lethals. It hits them pretty hard for not like this unit itself is not that expensive. It's funny like this unit was like 10 less points than the old Vetrix, which is hilarious. GW, please. But it will come in and beat the shit out a good amount of them, which is very nice. And that'll bring me back to my next conversation. Those are 2 different lists. If you're playing on like WTC and UKTC, you can probably efficiently play this list. I had to cut the Chronos, which I don't like, but the Reavers are less of a plan here, so it's not as important. And but yeah, so if you're playing in WTC or UKTC, you can probably play this list very well and feel very strong about it. But in GW land, I think this is stronger. This is probably what I'm going to play. All right, talking about Cartel, why I'm excited about Cartel is we'll pretend these are Hand of Archon. We have Hand of Archon, Mandrakes, Archon, Lady Malice, Mandrakes, and a Ravager. So these are Incubi, not Mandrakes. So I'm excited. Why is this detachment is what I say is a counter meta detachment. It's very good if you know you're playing against specific datasheet types. For instance, mass infantry mounted, mass vehicles and monsters. So if you're in a knight meta, if you're in a Bringers of Flame, like Codex meta, which had 12 holes, if you're in a Custodes meta, things like that, the mass amount of a lot of this data sheet, you know what you're going to. I think Cartel is one of, if not the best detachment. I don't think anything supplants Sector Sight ever, but I think it's substantially better than something like Reaper's Wager at that point, because it does a lot of very good things, unfavorable things. Because having your whole army having sustain and or lethal is amazing, and it combines very well with the rest of the army because you have Malice, who gives the other half of the ability. You have the Hand of the Archon, who gives you lethal. So you always have, if you're fighting infantry, you always have sustain and lethal, and you can combine it with an Archon to be sustained, lethal, reroll hits, and if it's a cult unit, crits on 5s, that hits insanely hard. And then you have Ravagers, who are very efficient in this detachment because one, they can have blown up 18, so it gets rid of their biggest weakness of being made of fucking paper. They have a 4-up save, for God's sakes. But they can sit, they have Deep Strike, which is really good. So they get innately Deep Strike. They can come in, blast, especially if you're shooting like an infantry squad. And if it's unwounded, and if it's the Cartel unit, it's 9 shots at 632, sustained on 5s, you're rolling everything, and you just go and shoot them to death. And that like combines well against Vetrix because this can be the first target, and then your melee can go in and murder the hell out of them if they still live. In Cartel, for instance, I'm doing a 10-man Incubi because I always value having at least one hammer, because this has Webway all, so it can Deep Strike. And this unit itself will kill a whole squad of Vetrix with little to no effort. It's going to be sustained on 5s with 4 rolls to hit. You have 2 tokens, so you automatically have 2 damage dev wounds. So you automatically, before anything happens, one guy is going to die to dev wounds. Obviously, you might roll a shit ton of dev wounds anyways, and they just die. That's really fucking good. And then they might fail the Basilisk Nest, not relying on it, but maybe you'll hit on 2s, and that combines very well with the crits on 5s, because you're going to reroll everything anyways. And this will go in, kill shit out of it. It has Deep Strike, so you can rapid ingress it very efficiently. So it's very, nice for that counter meta play. And also into, at the same time, this unit kills the shit out of pretty much any vehicle, if with no effort. It's not like a -1 damage super AOC unit, because it's going to be lethal on 5s for rerolls and goes choppy. It's also, why Malice is nice, because, then you're sus lethal pretty much always, maybe crits on 5s. Well, this attachment does a lot of things. And like you said, the Hand, I think, is very exciting for it now, because, the Hand gives the Archon a good ability with the lethal hits. They have good melee with him, not good melee, but melee, unlike Cablites, which have no melee worth of anything, and they still have 2 guns. You still get a Dark Lance and a Blaster. And then they have a Scout, which is really nice, because Army doesn't have Scout. So you can go and beat the shit out of someone. The Archon can go Grenade, or he can, get the crits on 5 strat, stuff like that. And then this attachment also makes Scourges super efficient. And if they're lethal, If they're lethal or sustained with the full rerolls, they do a lot more damage than they normally are because they're balanced around doing a really low to medium amount of damage because they're uninteractable. It's like 26 points a model, for God's sakes. But when you're cartel, they do a lot more damage, especially if you feel like you could officially spend the CP on them to give them crits on 5s. So that's really nice. So detachment does a lot of good things right now. It has issues of it's fucking slow as shit, doesn't have advanced charge, doesn't have anything. You're not playing witches. You can play Lilith in this detachment as just to have the Lilith because Lilith's quite good. I think Lilith's overstated in other attachments. This isn't like the index days. She doesn't have reroll hits. She doesn't have +1 AP anymore. Otherwise, she's the same as the index when you're not playing Spectacle's Fight, where she's god tier. I think she's a little overhyped. It's still nice to have a fight first unit, but they hit like decent. They hit fine. But yeah, I'm quite excited for Cartel. I'll be playing that soon. I'll actually playing a stream game soon. Posting that, sometime soonish, this weekend or something. Yeah, that's it. That's the data slate. And that's me talking about updated lists and Cartel. I'm going to reiterate the plug from the beginning. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. It helps so much. I'm very close to being monetized, and if I could, that would help me immensely. Yeah, please, watch the videos as much as you can in full. Join the Discord if you have any quotes about coaching or questions about coaching. Hit me up there or email me. All of that. I would thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.